Sorry, did you not understand? Let me rephrase. Communication is the key to success. A quote I'm sure you've heard of before. And though you may not realize, but we've created many different ways to communicate, not just through speaking, but through body language, gestures, and eye contact. It's used every day, in every way. So how would you feel if one day you couldn't really communicate anymore? Well, there are people who feel like this, who are called deaf, which is when someone has lost their hearing at birth or later on in their life. And although they still can communicate via BSL, better known as British Sign Language, it is extremely difficult in a world made for hearing people. In fact, in the UK alone, there are 11 million deaf people, but only 60,000 out of the 57 million hearing individuals know sign language. Can you imagine feeling so out of place in your own country? Not being able to properly communicate with those around you, and most importantly, not even having your own voice or say in anything. Which is why today I have decided to be that voice, to speak out for the people who can't, to speak out for the people who feel ignored, and to speak out for the people like my mum and my dad who are also deaf. Since I am a CODA, meaning child of deaf adult, I have grown up in a thriving deaf household where we use speech through our hands. To others, it may have seemed unusual and not normal, but to me, it was a core part of my life that I loved and still do. But imagine the difficulties when it came to doctors and dentist appointments, when an interpreter was just too expensive for the NHS to fund, so I end up being the last resort. The guilt that my parents must feel having their daughter to be their voice, speak for them in such an adult scenario. The guilt that I feel for constantly having to apologize to strangers. Sorry, my parents are deaf. Sorry, they can't hear you. Sorry, I have to translate. Then I realized, what am I apologizing for? Shouldn't they be the ones apologizing for not being able to communicate with a quarter of the population? As much as I'd like to point the blame on the ignorance of society, the true problem is school, a place where we're all forced to be until the age of 16. And as much as you and me both hate school, it's a core part of all of our lives, whether you like it or not. It's where we learn. And I can't help but feel annoyed that BSL is nowhere to be seen on that curriculum. Now, I'm not saying that every student should have to learn sign language, all because a 15-year-old girl from Ealing said you should. But to me, it's something that the younger generation should learn, and learn how to at least talk to a deaf person without making them feel any different, because they're not. And the idea that deaf is dumb is dumb. In order to reach society's true goal of equality, then how about we start by being able to communicate with society? So now, I hope you understand what this really means when I say communication is the key to success.